cell is the basic unit of life, the basic unit of structure and function in all organisms. Cell theory. There are 3 parts to the cell theory. All living things are composed of cells. Cells are the basic units of structure and function in living things. New cells are produced from pre-existing cells. Organelle. Organelle is a cell structure that is specialized for a specific function. Examples, mitochondria and ribosomes. Prokaryote. An organism made up of one cell that lacks a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. All prokaryotes are bacteria, and all bacteria are prokaryotes. Relatively simple. Eukaryote. An organism whose cells have a distinct nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Relatively complex. Cell membrane. Thin, flexible barrier around a cell. It regulates what enters and leaves the cell. Cell wall. A rigid structure that surrounds the plasma membrane of some cells, giving them additional protection and support. Cell membrane is made up of a phospholipid bilayer. Cell membrane is selectively permeable, means it can choose what does and does not pass through. Diffusion always causes particles to move from a region of high to low concentration. Does not use energy when molecules diffuse in or out. Active transport requires energy to transport molecules against the concentration gradient. Osmosis and diffusion, no energy is used. Which one needs a helper to get things across? Facilitated diffusion. Concentration, amount of substance in a certain place. Diffusion moves particles like oxygen into the cell.
4 kingdoms that are made up of eukaryotic cells: protista, fungi, plantae, mammalia.
Microscopy, 3 main types. Bisecting microscopes, low magnification, 5 times minus 80x. Light microscopes, up to 2000x. Electron microscopes, total magnification, power of ocular lens, x power of objective lens. Just add 0 to whatever. SEM, scanning electron microscope, very high magnification, up to 50 mil. Electron microscopes produce magnified images by focusing, produces greater detail than with a light microscope, can show organelles. And exocytosis is a process in which cells release large amounts of material from or out of the cell. During exocytosis, the membrane of the vacuole surrounding the material fuses with the cell membrane, forcing the contents out of the cell. Cells use energy. Endocytosis, the process of taking material into the cell by means of infoldings or pockets of the cell membrane. Phagocytosis means cell eating. Phagocytosis, extensions of cytoplasm surround a particle and package it within a food vacuole. The cell engulfs it. The cell uses energy. Penocytosis is a process by which a cell takes in liquid from the surrounding environment. The cell uses energy. Solute is what gets dissolved. Solvent does the dissolving. Solution is the mixture of solute and solvent. Example, Kool-Aid is a solute. Solvent is water. Solution, Kool-Aid. Hypertonic is the greater concentration of solutes. An example of cell analogy: mitochondria, hydraulic dams, ribosomes, small shops, nucleus, town hall, endoplasmic ER, special carts, Golgi apparatus, post office, protein, widget, cell membrane, fence, lysosome, scrapyard, nucleolus, carpenter's union, vacuole, water tower. Each cell in your body has the same DNA. Before cells become specialized, they are known as stem cells. The on and off switch determines what kind of cell you'll make. This is specialization or differentiation. Bone cells are rigid, packed tightly together. Muscles are muscles as they move. Nerve cells are long, have many branches. The long branch enables the cell to communicate messages very quickly. Muscle cells are long, thick, and packed with mitochondria. Blood cells are small and round. Leaf cells are packed with chloroplasts. Chloroplasts allow them to do photosynthesis and make as much sugar as possible. Amino acids are held by peptide bonds. Monomer is always found in a ring shape, 1:1 ratio. Glucose, sugar in your blood. Carbohydrate provides structure and support. Cellulose, type of lipid, have 3 fatty acids, can be saturated or unsaturated. Triglyceride, what type of lipid has a phosphate group? Phospholipid. What determines the protein function? Amino acids. Where do you find nucleic acids? And DNA or nucleotides. What is the difference between organic and inorganic compounds? Organic comes from living things, CH bonding. What is the pH of an acid at base and the neutral? pH of an acid is under 7 on the pH scale. The base is above 7 on the pH scale. Plants versus animal cells. Nucleus, both have it. Ribosomes, both have it. Mitochondria, both have it. ER, both have it. Golgi, both have it. Plasma, both have it. Cytoplasm, both have it. Vacuole, both have it. 5 main differences between plant and animal cells. Plant cells have a cell wall. Animal cells do not. Plant cells have chloroplasts. Animal cells do not. Plant cells have lysosomes. Animal cells do. Plant cells have larger vacuoles, storage spaces, than animal cells. Plant cells don't have centrioles. Plant cells are square-shaped. Animal cells are typically round. Cell wall. Plant cells have it. Animal cells don't. Lysosomes. Animal cells have it. Plant cells don't. Chloroplasts. Plant cells have it. Animal cells do not. Plant cells have a large vacuole. Centrioles. Plant cells don't have them. Animal cells do. Animals are round. Plants are square. Prokaryotes are smaller and simpler. Do not have a nucleus. Do have ribosomes. Prokaryotes have DNA and RNA. Prokaryotes have circular DNA strands called plasmids. They came first. Difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Bacteria are coiled inward. What is the function of chloroplast? Preterm photosynthesis. What is the function of a vacuole? Stores food, water, and waste. Who was the first scientist to see quark under a simple microscope? Robert Hooke. What is Francesco Redi disprove? Spontaneous generation. Who discovered the first compound microscope? Anton van Leeuwenhoek. What did Rudolf Virchow discover? Cells can only arise from pre-existing cells. Who discovered all plants are made of cells? Matthias Schleiden. What did Theodor Schwann discover? All animals are made out of cells. The size and shape of the cell determines its function. Bacteria is only made up of a single cell, but plants and animals are made up of many cells. 4 functions of cells: perform basic life processes to keep organisms alive, gets rid of body waste, makes new cells for growth and repair, releases energy from food, centrioles and organelles that help to form the fibers that move chromosomes around when the cell is dividing. Name the organelle that is the control center, the nucleus. The nucleolus is located in the nucleus and helps make ribosomes. Name the organelle that is the storage are for the cell. Vacuoles. The storage area holds food, water, and waste. Ribosomes make protein. Thick, gel-like fluid that organelles float in is called cytoplasm. Name the organelle that acts as a roadway into a cell. Endoplasmic endoplasmic reticulum. There are 2 types of roadways in the cell. The one that has ribosomes and makes protein is called the rough ER, and the one that doesn't have ribosomes and makes fats and lipids is called smooth ER. Robert Hooke coined the term cell. Observed slices of quark. Anton van Leeuwenhoek, first compound-like microscope, was the first to observe a living cell. Matthias Schleiden, all plants are made out of cells. Theodor Schwann, all animals are made up of cells. Rudolf Virchow, cells can only arise from pre-existing cells. Francesco Redi, spontaneous generation. Cells are simple organisms such as bacteria are single cell. Plants and animals are made up of many cells. Each kind has a particular function. Shape and size determines its function. Red blood cells are small disc shaped to fit through the smallest blood vessel. Muscle cells are long and thin. When they contract, they produce movement. Nerve cells, which carry signals to the brain, are very long. Cells work together to perform basic life processes that keep organisms alive, getting rid of body waste, making new cells for growth and repair, release energy from food. Cells are mostly water. The rest of the present molecules are protein, nucleic acid, carbohydrate, lipids, other. Nucleus, the nickname is the control center, holds the DNA. Dark spot in the middle of the nucleus that help make ribosomes is the nucleolus. Ribosomes make proteins found in all cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. ER, nicknamed the Rhodes. Function, the internal delivery system of the cell. Rough ER, rough appearance because it has ribosomes. Smooth ER, no ribosomes, makes lipids. ER collects the proteins and creates a bubble around them. A vessel is formed when the ER pinches off a part of its membrane. Golgi complex, nicknamed the shippers. Function, packages, modifies, and transport materials to different locations inside and outside of the cell. Appearance, stack of pancakes. Lysosomes, nicknamed cleanup crew, function to break down food into particles the rest of the body can use to destroy old cells. Mitochondria, nicknamed the powerhouse, function energy formation, breaks down food to make ATP. ATP is a major fuel for all cell activities that require energy. Cell membrane holds a cell together, keeps all the pieces inside the cell, controls what goes in and out. Example, like a big plastic bag with tiny holes in it, controls what substances come into and out of the cell. Water, oxygen, and nutrients goes in. Waste, harmful materials, viruses go out. Similar to a window screen. Cytoplasm, region between the cell membrane and the nucleus, clear like gel fluid, constantly moving throughout the cell. Most organelles are contained in the cytoplasm, vacuole, storage areas of the cell. Example, water. Plant cells have a large one, some animals have them, others don't. Store food and other materials needed by the cell. Can store waste. Vacuoles are bubbles that float in the cell. Vacuoles are more important to the survival of plant cells because than they are to animal cells. Centrioles generally appear in animal cells. They look like two cylinders at right angles to one another. When viewed with an electron microscope, the cylinders show up as 9 bundles of tiny microtubules around in a circle. They help to form the fibers that move chromosomes around when the cell is dividing. As animal cell prepare for cell division, these two centrioles separate and go on opposite ends of the cell. Internal membrane system in which lipid components of the cell membrane are assembled and some proteins are modified, act as roadways. Two types, smooth and rough Golgi apparatus, stack of membranes in the cell that modifies, sorts, and packages proteins from the Osmosis, the movement of water molecules into a concentrated solution from a less concentrated solution. It moves in the direction of more water percentage to less water percentage. Diffusion, the movement of particles from an area of higher concentration to an area of low concentration. Facilitated diffusion, the movement of substances across a plasma membrane with the blank embedded in the membrane. Selective permeable, allowing only some kinds of particles to pass through, and other particles are not allowed to pass through. Concentration gradient, a difference in concentration on opposite sides of the plasma membrane. Hypertonic, when comparing two solutions, it is a solution with a greater concentration of solutes. Hypotonic, when comparing two solutions, it is a solution with lesser concentration of solutes. Isotonic is when two solutions are the same. Passive transport, the movement of materials into or out of a cell without the expenditure of energy, doesn't use energy. Active transport, the movement of material against the concentration gradient, which requires a cell to use energy. Homeostasis, the maintenance of stable internal conditions in a cell or organism despite changes in its environment. Examples, body temperature, glucose level. Buffer, a substance that tends to maintain a stable pH when an acid base is added to it. Two things found in a plant cell that are not found in an animal cell. Central vacuole and chloroplast. How does the shape of a plant cell differ from an animal cell? Plant is a square. What is the function of chloroplasts? What the fuck did that say? Protect photosynthesis. Oh. Cell is the basic unit of life, the basic structure and function in all organisms. Cell theory, there are 3 parts to cell theory. All living things are composed of cells. Cells are the basic structure, units of structure and function in living things. New cells come from pre-existing cells. Organelle, a cell structure that is specialized for a specific function. Example, mitochondria, ribosome. Prokaryote, an organism made up of one cell that lacks a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. All prokaryotes are bacteria, and all bacteria are prokaryotes. Relatively simple. Eukaryote, an organism whose cells have a distinct nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Relatively complex. Cell membrane, thin, flexible barrier around the cell. It regulates what enters and leaves the cell. Cell wall, a rigid structure that surrounds the plasma membrane of some cells, giving them additional protection and support. Nucleus, a membrane-bound organelle that directs and controls most cellular activities. Nuclear membrane, the structure that surrounds and encloses the nucleus. Cytoplasm, the thick material inside the plasma membrane. Mitochondria, the cell organelles that carry out cellular respiration. They are the powerhouse of the cell. They give us energy. Vacuole, an organelle that stores water and other important materials, including salts, proteins, and carbohydrates. Plants have a big one called the central vacuole. Ribosome, a cell structure that makes proteins for use throughout the cell. Endoplasmic reticulum, internal membrane system in cells in which lipid components of the cell membrane